So listen, real talk. You and me, let's just get this out in the open. So this month I have been very busy when it comes to Hermes. If you watched my unboxing recently, I picked up the Baron wallet in a beautiful exotic skin, the first one in my H collection. And last weekend, I picked up a new bag. So I have been a little bit H crazy. Now, no, I have not unboxed this yet, but stay tuned till the end. I'll share when this is gonna go out, and I am so excited. I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to guess what I got, but it might be one of the bags that we're gonna be talking about today. You're like, Caleb, what's the topic? What's going on? What's the tea? Love that about you. Stay curious, never change. Today we're gonna be diving into some of the most popular and some that you've never heard of Hermes bags, and we're gonna be learning about the history and the origin of their names. Some of these might surprise you. It's pretty cool. But before we get into everything beautiful and great about H, hey guys, my name's Caleb. I post luxury and lifestyle related content 3 times a week, so if that's something you're into, hit the subscribe button down below. Consider joining the membership to get extra perks and access to the channel. And let's dive in. We're gonna do a couple rapid fire here because listen, if you've been an H collector, if you've been around the H block once or twice, you've probably heard these stories in quite literally every single Birkin or Kelly video. So let's get through these real quick, and then we're gonna kick it off with something that you've probably never heard of. It's pretty interesting. So first of all, you've heard it before, the story of the Birkin. Now, how did the Birkin get its name? Where did it come from? What does it do? It's like buttered sausage, who knows? IYKYK. Now, the Birkin first got its start in the late 80s. Jane Birkin was on a plane sitting next to Jean-Louis Dumas, and apparently, like, the basket she was carrying tipped over and spilled everything out, and Mr. Dumas was like, oh, let's design you a cute little tote so that way you don't lose your stuff, and thus the Birkin was born, named after Jane Birkin. She was able, I think, to go in and pick up Birkins at will, but will it only ever do it like every few years once her current Birkin had blown out? She really favored kind of the black Birkins. Box, she had a stunning box one with all like the stickers on it. And originally the Birkin, when it first came out, came with an attached shoulder strap to the back, which is kind of interesting, but you very rarely, if ever, see those options on the pre-owned market. But that is the Birkin. Like I said, nothing exciting. You've heard it before. Is the story true? I don't know. Apparently he drew it on the back of a napkin there in first class, and it's based off the Eau Aqua, so who knows? It's fascinating though, nonetheless. Now with Hermes, we would be remiss to not fast rapid fire through the Kelly next. The Birkin's their number 1 bag. The Kelly is a close second when it comes to popularity, but the Kelly bag originally started life as the Sac à Dépêche, or the dispatch bag. So things really started to turn around in 1954 for the Sac à Dépêche, when the costume designer for Alfred Hitchcock's film To Catch a Thief, starring Cary Grant and Grace Kelly, used this bag for one of Kelly's costumes. She became so smitten with the bag, I mean, hello, who wouldn't? She decided to keep it after production. So if anyone knows anyone filming anything that needs an actor to carry a Kelly that I can then keep afterwards, drop them down in the comments because I would love to get my hands on a free Hermes Kelly. Now, she really skyrocketed the fame of the Sac à Dépêche in 1956 when she was on the cover of Life magazine, carrying it, hiding the baby bump because it hadn't been announced yet. After a few more years, in 1977, Hermes finally said, you know what? Let's stop calling it the Sac à Dépêche. We're just going to call it the Kelly, and thus the Kelly was born. Thank you, Grace Kelly. We're going to kick it off. We're going to get into the bags that you've probably never heard of. I mean, some of these are pretty common, but this next one, I can guarantee, unless you were an Hermes collector in the late 90s, very early 2000s, you've probably missed out on this bag. This is called the Yeoh bag. Now, this one was named after the absolutely fabulous actress, Michelle Yeoh. So this bag is basically like a more modern, more streamlined, more hip and trendy version of the Her bag. Now, both have the same concept. They'll come with like a leather body and a canvas body that will affix to a top. And with the Michelle Yeoh bag, this one has kind of like a zippered closure, a simple shoulder strap, and quite honestly, it is stunning. Now, much like, you know, my hunt for the Hermes Masai bag with both straps, finding the Yeoh bag with both bodies, very difficult. Now, one body, like I said, it's going to be leather, a little bit taller, more boxy, kind of like think of a Kelly 32 or a Kelly 35. And then the other version, it's more like an Evelyn version. So it's going to be longer, much shorter, and both of these will actually zip up on their own. So if you don't want to use it with the top handle situation, you can just zip it and use the smaller one as a pouch inside the bigger version. Absolutely fabulous design. Now, I tried so hard to find photos of Michelle Yeoh carrying her namesake bag. I can only ever find her with pictures with Lindy's. So if anyone has the photos, send them to me because I think that would be so iconic to see Michelle with her Yeoh bag. And check these out. Like I said, they're very hard to find complete set on the secondhand market, but I could see this being a design that Hermes would probably want to re-release, especially with, you know, the resurgence in Y2K culture. And not to mention, it's just a stunning bag. Now, speaking of very famous women, listen, we've talked about Jane Birkin, we've talked about Michelle Yeoh, we've talked about Grace Kelly. Now let's talk about the bag that Jackie Kennedy loved most, the Constance bag. Now, the Constance was first started in 1959 when Jean-Louis Dumas approached then in-house handbag designer Catherine Charlotte, and he was like, listen, bestie, we need a new bag. I'd like to go on the shoulder, both short style, long style, maybe even crossbody. And she's like, okay, bet. Let me throw something out there. And thus was born the Constance, quite literally, because at the same time Catherine was pregnant with her fifth child, the bag was named Constance in honor of that child, and rumor has it, which could just be in-house romance, you know, language to kind of help sell the bag, but rumor has it that both the bag and the baby debuted on the same day, which would be kind of ironic, but also kind of funny at the same time. Again, is that true? I don't know. I think that a lot of these luxury houses just come up with lore to kind of like romance the product and make it a little bit more interesting. But sadly, after the birth of her fifth child, Catherine never returned to work at Hermes. So thank you, Catherine, for one of the most iconic bags in Hermes's history. The Constance is very fabulous. Now let's discuss the last bag on this list that has been actually named after a person. And if you guess the Evelyn bag, ding, 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 you're correct. You get some bonus points there. What are you going to win? I have no idea, but bonus points, that's exciting. Now, this bag was originally designed in 1978 when then head of horse riding department, Evelyn Bertrand, was like, you know what? We need a bag that can carry my grooming tools. And everyone's like, okay, cool, like let's do it. And then the Evelyn came about. Now, the Evelyn features that iconic design on the back with the perforated H logo. And that's not just to be cutesy and let everyone know that you're carrying an Hermes bag, which is exciting in and of itself, but the actual concept and the idea behind that perforation is to help keep the air moving inside the bag to help aerate the grooming tools held inside. Now, Hermes actually originally only kept this bag as part of the equestrian lineup until the early 21st century when they noticed that there was a big surge in fashionable people interested in carrying the Evelyn, and then that's when it moved over to the handbag department, which is kind of cool. There's a few other like equestrian based bags that I'm really interested in right now, but that's not what this video is about. Commonly, like I said, that H logo is supposed to be on the back side of the bag, but it's become very popular to wear it facing out. I mean, obviously if you're carrying an H, why not? But the Evelyn, I thought that was a pretty cool story. Let's switch things up and talk about a very historic bag, the first one to actually use a zippered closure, the Bolide. Now with the Bolide, there's a couple of different rumors about how this started. I'm going to share with you the most probable because I don't really think that the creator of Bugatti wanted a bag to match his cars. He might have, props to him if he did, but most of my research points to the fact that Emile Hermes designed this bag originally for his wife. Now listen, in the early 20s, you know, car travel was really taking off and Hermes wanted to kind of meet that demand with things like wallets big enough to hold maps, driving gloves, driving scarves, the Bolide, if you will. Now, this bag was introduced first in 1923, and this is actually the first, or one of the first Hermes bags, I should say, that didn't have purely an equestrian background because this was invented for the car. Now, originally this was called Sac pour l'auto. I mean, it kind of doesn't roll off the tongue, especially if you have bad French like I do. Sorry about it, working on it. So they eventually renamed it the Bolide, which meant comet, which was a common French term for sports cars. So when you think of the Bolide, think of a comet, think of a sports car, maybe think of a Bugatti. I kind of see it in like an all black version. It kind of goes with the sleek lines of a Bugatti, but I don't know. Believe who you want. Believe me, that's fine too. But I think the Bolide, this is one that if I haven't already added to my collection, I definitely want to. Now, let's switch things up and talk about a few of the more current bags designed within the last 20 years, of course. Next up, we have the Lindy, and the Lindy has always been on my wish list. Did I buy a Lindy? Did I buy a Bolide? We don't know yet. You'll have to come back and find out when I do my unboxing. It was originally introduced in 2007 for the Spring-Summer collection, designed by Frederick Vidal, and guys, the Lindy is absolutely fabulous. So this was the first time that they've designed the handles to go perpendicular to the bag, as opposed to parallel with my Kelly and Birkin back here. This allowed the wearer freedom of movement. You could easily swing that bag onto your shoulder, hit the road, it molds to the body. It has a gorgeous, beautiful design, very futuristic, but also somehow oddly very familiar. And you're like, Caleb, I thought you said this was, I thought you said the Evelyn was the last bag named after a person. Well, who is Lindy? It's not who is Lindy. What is Lindy? Now the Lindy, because of its carefree nature, swinging it onto your shoulder, was named after the dance, the Lindy Hop. Now, the Lindy Hop originally started in Harlem in the 1920s at the Savoy Ballroom, and it's kind of where like swing dancing got its start, which is kind of amazing, and thus was born the Lindy. That's me throwing it on my shoulder and pretending, because maybe or maybe not, I don't have one yet. I don't know. We'll have to find out. Now, next up, let's talk about the Picotin. You know, we know Hermes's history and its depth in the equestrian world, so where does the Picotin come from? Now, the term Picotin is actually a unit of measurement when it comes to horse feed. I don't know much about horses, I don't know much about horse feed, so I can't really tell you what that measurement looks like, but it'd be kind of cute if it was like 18, 22, 31. Anyway, besides the point. But the Picotin itself actually resembles like a feed bag for horses. Now, this bag originally started out as just the Picotin, which you're like, Caleb, that's what it's called. Like, technically, no, now it's called the Picotin lock, because back in 2002, they switched things up a little bit, and like that little dangly strap that, you know, kind of goes to the D-rings to close it wasn't originally locked at first. And then in 2002, they kind of revamped the design, added a lock to it, and the Picotin lock was then born. And it's definitely an iconic bag. This is kind of like when you're building up your profile, this is one of the bags that you pick up along the way. But I could see just adding one to my collection just to have, because they are so unique. And I would honestly love the TGM in like a very cool dark neutral color. Is that what's in this box? I don't know. You're gonna have to come back and find out. The Picotin, like I said, it's a fabulous bag, very reminiscent of a feed bag, and I think they're super cute. Now, the next bag, the 2424, what do you think it's named after? Well, there's a theory, and then I have a theory. Now, first of all, it's designed to be just easily used. Much like the Lindy, you can throw it on your shoulder, carry it top handle. It'll go throughout the day with you if you'd like it to. And they wanted to kind of give the impression that the wearer could wear this bag 24 hours a day and not be bothered by it. But I also think, in my humble opinion, FSH is 24 Rue Faubourg, the main flagship, the mothership of all Hermes, if you will. 24 is in that number, so I could see it like being like 24 FSH, 24 hours. I think that's where they got 2424 from. Now, this last bag, it's still fairly new. It just came out a few years ago. This is the Geta bag, and I am so sorry if I mispronounced that. But this bag, essentially, this is named after the traditional Japanese wooden clogs, and you can definitely see it at the bottom of that bag. The H is mirrored on both the front and the back of the bag. You have the little points of the H, which then form the feet, and you also have the mechanism for lengthening and shortening the strap there as well. It's kind of like, if you think about it, a more modern version of the Constance. I love that elongated H across the bottom. It's a fabulous style. It hasn't taken off too much just yet, so I think you could probably find these pre-owned for a pretty good deal, as opposed to the Constance, the Evelyn, things like that. A very interesting bag, and I love how Hermes doesn't shy away from interesting concepts when it comes to design. Like, they're always willing to push that envelope, go a little bit further, but while still keeping it refined, under the radar, and just very tasteful. I don't know. I think that's pretty cool. All right, guys, that is all I have for you today. I thought it was a lot of fun to kind of like deep dive into the history of some of these bags. These are beautiful things, and they each have their own story, which I find absolutely fascinating as like a collector, a lover of the brand, and someone who likes to carry these things. Join me next Saturday, August 31st, for the mega unboxing of my newest Hermes bag. Is it a Lindy? Is it a Bolide? Is it another Birkin? My true collectors who know the size of the box will probably clock it. I'm just so excited. This has been something that's been on the wish list for a very long time, and I cannot wait to share with you. It still has stickers, by the way, so we're going to be peeling some Hermes stickers. I am so freaking excited. Anyway, thank you for joining me today. I hope you learned something. I know I learned something, and we learned together. That's how we do this. This is a relationship. We're learning together. Thank you for joining, guys. Until next time, stay safe, have fun. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.